So from the forward group, what do you guys see in the last 3 games? And we can extend it because I think we pointed it out in January. They were winning, not their best hockey. Sheldon Keefe said it too.
Yeah.
A little bit of an easier schedule.
Yeah.
So forward group, what do you guys think?
In terms of the forward group, so I've got here the second line is still struggling, I would say. They got the 2 goals in St. Louis, couple good transition
let's
goals.
say like you got William Nylander in those 2 goals, right?
Yeah.
So they had. Well, I mean, when we looked at the 2 goals, John Tavares pretty good breakup, and then just puck to William Nylander up the ice. The second goal was a nice transition play by Alex Kerfoot, and then he threw a nice pick on the defenseman.
No, I
Nice
agree. Sorry,
legals-
I'm not underestimating it. I'm just saying, like,
he's got a good shot.
he's a good player.
He's a good player. Unfortunately, it's been a bit of a rocky few last games, but he got a couple nice goals there. But I mean, just against Montreal, we saw the results. -2 with not many shots.
I believe they also got benched for a bit in that game.
Probably
Montreal,
Their
yes,
time on
it
ice
looked
was
like it.
very low, and I mean it was ugly. Tonight it was a bit more of a bounce back. You saw William Nylander in transition on a breakaway got stopped, and then John Tavares on the one-timer got stopped. They were getting their chances there. On the power play, they've still been pretty effective, I would say.
I would say tonight it almost looked like it was leaking into the power play a bit. Like Nylander, I don't want to say he looked lost, but he looked like he was struggling to find maybe his spot. Mm-hmm. There was one particular power play where they try to set up that low 3-on-1 against 1D.
Yeah.
Where he was just on the wrong side of the net. Oh. And that's like little things like that. It's not even his fault. It's like when it's not going well, you're like everything's going wrong. Even Tavares, like he blocked one of our own players' shots at one point. He was missing the net. He's getting good tips.
He hit the glass a lot.
He hit the glass a lot tonight. It's one of those things where. Shout out some guys. A lot of people said it on Twitter. It's the grip and the stick too hard for Tavares right now. That's what it is. You can see it.
And I mean, Nylander against Montreal, the first power play that they got, he got a really good one-time opportunity from Morgan Riley. Blew it right by
Pretty
the net.
open.
And he was
rattled.
Like, damn it! And that's after a 2-goal game. I mean, it's really weighing on them, and you can see it. Like, again, what do you change the utilization of this line more? What is?
I honestly, I don't know. I think.
Do you keep riding it out because it feels like they're almost on the cusp of something?
I think maybe ride it out just because, like, again, like some of these guys are just not like John Tavares. He hasn't scored in 10 games, and I think that's like a career. That's a career record for him. That's the most amount of games he hasn't scored in his career.
It's got to be.
You pointed it out. We saw on the highlights even there was a ticker of how long. When was the last time John Tavares shot the puck?
Yeah,
48 minutes, which is multiple games, by the way. Like that's not like I assume that's not like I assume that's time he's on the ice. Maybe.
Yeah,
I would assume so. Yeah, because 48 minutes in a game, it's like
it's kind of weird because he's not on the ice.
Weird.
Yeah, but yeah. So this with the second line in particular, I agree. I think that line is like again kind of the biggest pain point because our first line is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right? That's like a two-way dominant line that can get a lot of points and like they're winning the possessions. Right? They're winning when they're on the ice. They're winning the goals. Mm-hmm. The second line, I think, is like we said, the biggest issue. The third line and fourth line, I think they've been okay. Right? Like, I think they've actually been, like...
You know what? Like, this is an easy nitpick, but it feels like... Some of it feels like that Montreal series where, like, our depth just disappears at times.
I got into your brain, didn't
You got into my brain so bad. Because, like, I'm watching this game tonight, and I'm like, if Matthews, Marner, or Bunting don't score a goal, we're not scoring a goal.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. I don't know if the stats back that up. I don't know if the numbers back that up. But that's
probably.
It's funny because it's so quick. The depth can go from a strength to a weakness for you, right? And that's just the variance of hockey sometimes.
That's what we were saying last year. Remember, at points, Thornton had 8 points in his last 7 games. At points, Wayne Simmons had 5 goals in his first 12 games. But then come playoffs, Thornton was invisible. Simmons had 2 good games, and it's like. All right, that's part of the depth. And then on top of that, Pierre Engvall, we see him get hot and cold. Ilya Mikheyev, you see him get hot and cold. Like, you're right. It can really go up.
The most consistent player in our bottom 6 is David Kampf and Jason Spezza.
Kasha at all, you think?
I think
Kasha's been cold. So
Jason's got great.
So again,
stats.
like I kind of prompted this because like I think the fourth line has been like again they're the fourth line. I think they've been okay. I think they've stepped up, but I think the second and third line are more where
of
the
a
issue is
concern.
coming from.
Do this
So-
as like a quiz way.
Yeah. So again, let's start this from the top.
Before you get into it, Jason Spezza, in terms of reliability, I want to say the 5-on-5 numbers do fluctuate a lot. I think in terms of reliability, it's just his skill set.
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
you
he's
saw
able-
it the last 6-on-5.
Yeah.
He puts in a goal, right? You're going to get games like the Minnesota game. You need a goal. Put Jason Spezza out there on the top of the circles or wherever. He'll give you a very good chance to score a goal.
Quick one for this before you go, Jason. If you look at his on ice shooting percentage, right, it's a good stat to see how the guys are performing around and how he's performing. His first 2 years in the least with the least 10.2, 11.3. That's abnormally high for a fourth liner, and that's not luck. That's just because he's good, and that's where your consistency comes from, right? Whether the 5-on-5 analytics, the shots are up and down, it doesn't matter because his finishing ability and his passing ability to give other guys
slap pass.
to give other guys good looks makes him so effective.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
let's hear it.
let's throw this up. So again, I'm looking at the last 16 games right now. Okay, this is going to be over a span of 16 games and
So what's that dated?
So that is, I believe, that's the day that Mitch Marner came back. I think that's the day after the Arizona game.
Okay.
I think
Because it's been basically, other than it's been the same forward group from then on.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I believe that is again like that game was January 12th. The next game was against the Blues January 15th. So from we're talking about from then on. Okay, so I want you guys to guess right now quickly. Quiz the top three forwards. The top three forwards in points for the Leafs at 5-on-5, or top three players, not forwards.
5-on-5.
Yes, at 5-on-5.
Matthews, Marner, Bunting.
There you go. So Matthews has 17 points in 16 games. Marner has 16 points in 16 games. Bunting has 13 points.
5-on-5.
At 5-on-5.
That's good stuff,
That's pretty
eh?
impressive, okay?
good stuff.
So now I want you to guess who is fourth. Now this is all players, not just forward and D, but it's a forward
5-on-5.
to give you a hint. Yes.
I want to say Kerfoot.
Close. He is fifth.
Jason Spezza.
No. Close. Okay, one more guess, and I'm going to tell you higher or lower, and that's where they are in the lineup, essentially. Where I think they are in like the pecking order.
Andre Kasha.
Lower.
Oh. So he's lower than Andre Kasha.
Yes.
Is it Pierre Engvall?
Pierre Engvall is fourth in our
Pierre
team.
Engvall
At
is
5-on-5 scoring. He has
What's
8
the splits?
points.
Goals, assists.
He has 4 goals and 4 assists. He has 8 points in the last 16 games, and he missed
That's
the game.
good. That's
He
actually
only-
very good.
That's good in one way, and that's terrible in another way.
So again, he's also only playing 163 minutes compared to like where our second and third line guys are playing around 200 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
and in that time span, and he's missed the game. Okay, fifth, like I said, is Alexander Kerfoot. Sixth and seventh, I'm not even going to let you guess because they're defensemen. So Engvall is
Wait, what?
Yes, so Engvall is fourth. And remember, this is 5-on-5 points. Engvall is fourth with 8 points at 5-on-5. Kerfoot is fifth with 7 points at 5-on-5. Morgan Riley and Timothy Liljegren are sixth and seventh, respectively, with 6 points, 5-on-5.
Oh my.
Do you know who ninth is?
William Nylander. Not even.
Yeah, eighth is Nylander. Right?
Eighth is William Nylander. It's a 4-way tie for eighth with 5 points between William Nylander, David Kampf, John Tavares, and Ilya Mikheyev.
Wow, that is
David Kampf is wildly outscoring our second line in the past 4 games.
I'll say this: that is the best stat surfing we've done on this podcast.
And again, I wanted to. I was originally just did this for the second line, but I wanted to lump the third line in as well because again, they're not really scoring as much either. David Kampf doing as much as he can, but again, he's
I wonder
not.
what the goals for, goals against is for that line.
I
It's
think
supposed to be a defensive specialist line, so that'd
David
be
Kamp's
something
going to
else.
get Selke votes. Like he deserves it.
Yeah,
but
he's been exceptional.
yeah, I can get you those stats in a second.
No, but even you're
times.
telling me David Kampf in his minutes, which is the exact opposite deployment of Tavares. Like David Kampf is playing Crosby, he's playing Ryan O'Reilly. I'm trying to think who we've played recently. Like he's playing against the top centers. Tavares is getting 70% offense zone faceoffs, and he has the same amount of 5-on-5 points as David Kampf.
Oh my god,
That is unacceptable. And again, that is your problem with your forward group right now.
I think so. Yeah,
The middle of the lineup is not giving you anything. Because honestly, let's say this. Even though Kampf is a third liner,
Yeah.
in terms of scoring reliability, he's last on what you expect.
Yes.
He should be last in every 10-game stretch. he cannot be like in your top 6 best forwards in terms of point production over 16 games.
Yes, and I want, like, again, this is 16 games, but again, this isn't like the be all end all. We're not saying these guys are bad. They just, again, need to step it up. And like, who knows? Maybe they could get a little bit of a regression, right? Because the individual expected goals for both William Nylander and John Tavares are around. For John Tavares, it's 3.59, which would be, I think, 3rd in the team. So he's generating.
But here's the thing. I agree. He's generating the chances, but that's not the issue because I'm watching him tonight blow shots from the slot 10 feet over the net.
Yeah.
David Kampf has 5 points in his last 6 games. Is that correct? No, it's not.
He's
no,
been
it's
hot.
Not. Stuck.
But yeah, so again, like they are generating expected goals, and their shooting percentage is poor right now. But again, like this stuff hopefully corrects itself. But again, this is not enough. This is not their best play. This is not enough. We simply need more from them. That's the bottom line.
No.
Especially the second line, third line could improve a little bit more. David Kampf is carrying that line right now.
4 points in his last 5 games for David Kampf.
Amazing. With a beautiful pass, by the way. I originally thought that was Mitch Marner today. I'm actually not even joking.
Well, it was to Matthews. So. So that, like, we'll get into the trade deadline stuff after this. So there's a problem we need to solve right now.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's Kerfoot's fault, but I could see Kyle Dubas saying, I need to add a spark plug to that second line. I don't know who it is. We'll look at some options, but I can see where now that you've got Lyubushkin and maybe Muzzin ends up on LTIR and you have a lot of flexibility, maybe there's a big swing.
I think it was Carlo Koliakova pointed out this is his 2nd concussion in not that long.
And I'm not even saying this for like, oh, we're going to circumvent the cap. Kucherov, like, I hope even if he's not out all year, like he needs, like, it's dangerous, man. Yeah. It's dangerous. He hit his head hard. He was knocked out. That was scary. Like, he needs, like,
stayed in Montreal hospital.
He needs to, like, really slow it. Like, even Tavares, like, he was skating in the first round, and that was like, oh man, like,
yeah, he was skating very soon.
You gotta give.
My
it
brother,
some
who's
time.
not a hockey fan, was just like, "What? That makes no sense."
Makes no sense. So that anything else on the forwards?
So yeah, another thing, and I'm not trying to bag on the second line. I'm just gonna like try and show how like they do need to improve in all areas. Not just we touched on that they need to improve offensively. That's what they're here for, right? I'm not gonna try and drag them defensively, but you asked what the goals for percentage was. So on the ice right now with John Tavares, William Nylander, we touched on it a bit last week throughout the whole season. But over the last 16 games, John Tavares has been on the ice for 9 5-on-5 goals and 19 5-on-5 goals against. William Nylander, 8 5-on-5 goals for, 19 5-on-5 goals against. That just isn't good. And the expected goals battle, they're tied right now. They're at 50%. Those are guys who should be at like a 54, 55% with their 100% and their offensive output. That's what it should be. And they're just not, they're not getting that. They're not. And that's an issue. And I don't know if we address that, if that's going to be addressed at the trade deadline. And it sucks because if it is, I'm going to kind of segue into something else I was thinking about. If we do address that, if we end up getting a second line winger to play with those two guys, assuming we don't split them up, what happens to Kerfoot? Do we keep him? Is it worth it to keep Kerfoot mind you, he signed for another year after this year. If we acquire a guy to play on that second line, is it worth it to keep Kerfoot? Because again, we've seen him we've seen times where he's been off that second line and he goes on the fourth line. Is it worth it to keep a player who makes $3.5 million with our cap situation for another year if he's going to be playing fourth line minutes?
So it's a great question. I don't think we have a good answer for it now, too, right?
No.
Like if
there's been times where we've been very, very high on Alex Kerfoot, but it's just like it's kind of an unfortunate situation that you need to.
Like if you can get the guy in Vancouver, I think you're
we'll leave his name at the guy in Vancouver.
Yeah, I think you're more comfortable. But if it's a guy, I don't know, a guy who's maybe just marginally better than Kerfoot, it's like, man, is it worth it? Who knows? Like, you got to weigh that opportunity cost. We were saying the same thing about Hall last week, right? Hall versus Sherrod. If you have to give a first-round pick.
To get marginally better.
But I think that's a great summary of the forwards.
Yeah. So